My daughter is engaged. I'm very happy for her. She's completed her education, PhD, has met a nice guy, and I couldn't be more happy for her. Her mom and I divorced about 10 years ago. My ex remarried a fairly wealthy guy who I actually like, and they have agreed to give her $30,000 towards her wedding. My ex asked me to contribute the same. I told her that I simply don't have that kind of money to give. My daughter completely understands, but my ex-wife doesn't at all. I could probably come up with that amount of money if I refinanced my home and took money out of retirement, but that would be the only way I could do it. My ex tells me that if I don't match her contribution, I won't be able to walk her down the aisle, won't be provided with photos, and will generally not be welcomed at the wedding. I'm able to contribute $5,000 and told my daughter this. She's okay with it, but her mom is livid. Am I the a-hole? Edit. 10 years ago, I used to make a lot more money than I do now. Life happens and things have changed. Yikes, not the a-hole. I hope your daughter is able to stand up to her mom on this, because ultimately, it's her decision if you come and if you walk her down the aisle. Your ex sounds like an awful person. Glad you're out of that marriage. Do not refinance your house and screw over your retirement plans for this. They should spend your $5K on the wedding and the $30K to put down on a home. $60K on a wedding is just a lot. Funding your daughter's wedding doesn't make you the gatekeeper of it. It's obvious that all this will blow over. Meanwhile, she's just trying to duck with you. On a related note, I totally get why she's your ex. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. This is your daughter's wedding, not hers. Weddings provide a lot of opportunities for divorced spouses to open up old wounds. Sounds like your wife is taking those opportunities. Given your daughter is okay with your contribution, will you still be able to walk her down the aisle, be welcomed at the wedding? Haha. Myself, female, and my fiancé, male, just got engaged. My fiancé's family has always been super supportive of us, and is even helping us pay for part of the wedding. On the other hand, my family is not. I did not expect my side, aka my dad, to contribute, so I was not surprised or even upset. He's just not the generous type and even had me pay rent when I lived with him. My mom died of cancer a few years back. We were incredibly close, and it was so hard to watch the kindest person I've ever met go through such a horrible thing. I know everyone grieves in different ways, but my dad began dating really soon after she passed. Within months he was on dating apps and filling me in on the details of the women he was meeting. This, among other things, really damaged our relationship for a while. He met his now girlfriend within the first year of my mom being gone, and they now live together. I'm glad he has someone to keep him company, but it was fast. I'm not particularly close to my dad and his girlfriend, but we are on decent terms. I was visiting them recently. My dad's girlfriend went upstairs and my dad and I were still hanging out. He pulled up this video of a bride who was going to do a bouquet toss, when instead she walks it over, hands it to a bridesmaid, and turns her around to see that she is getting proposed to. I thought he was just showing me a random wedding video, so I responded, "Aw, cute." And he said, "I want to do this to girlfriend's name at your wedding." I was shocked and asked if he was serious. He said he had been thinking about it, and this is what he wanted to do to make it special, and to show that I'm welcoming her into the family. I told him that he was going to have to figure something else out, because that day is about my future husband and I, and that we were spending a ton of money for our special day. His argument was that it would be a 5-minute thing, and then it would go back to being my day. My dad loves being the center of attention, so I know that all he would talk about the rest of the night would be the proposal. And I know my family would be gossiping about it because of how recent it has been since my mom passed. When people think back to my wedding, I don't want them to just remember my dad's proposal. I told him that especially because he is not offering to contribute to the wedding, it was completely out of the question. I explained that I really think his girlfriend would be uncomfortable with all that attention on her too. The next morning, my dad tried to guilt-trip me and told me he was disappointed that I didn't want to be involved with something so special. I told him he needs to plan something that is completely separate. I can tell he thinks I'm being a jerk. Planning a wedding without my mom being here is already so emotional. If she was still here, she would be my go-to person for everything. I miss her terribly, and know my wedding day is going to be emotional because of it. We're going to have a reserved seat with her photo on it. So, am I the a-hole for not letting my dad propose at my wedding? Not the a-hole, but be on guard because he sounds like the type to do it anyway. Not the a-hole. If your dad wants the proposal to be special, he shouldn't do it on someone else's special day, at a wedding he's hijacking, despite not contributing financially. It feels as though the bigger issue is that he wants you to be involved, and he wants you to play a role in welcoming her to the family. If you're not ready to do that, you have a right to say no. Not the a-hole, but your dad is a huge one. Not only disregarding how it makes you feel, but your family on your mom's side. He's being incredibly selfish. I, 20 female, am hoping to get married next year towards summer if plans go accordingly. I graduated college with a degree in medical office and found a decent desk job at a doctor's office that pays well with benefits. I'm currently living in an apartment with my fiance, 22 male. Occasionally we visit my parents, who live with my 3 sisters. The day before Thanksgiving, my sister, 26 female, made a false accusation claiming my boyfriend damaged her car and scratched the back. If it is true, he was behind her on the way home, but he says he never hit or damaged her car in any way. She says she's willing to drop it if he pays her out of pocket. He said, "Okay, let me pull up the footage." She must have not known he had cameras in the front and back after getting into a minor accident. So we checked it, and even showed it to our parents and her. There is one point where he gets a few feet behind her, but never scratched her car because the scratch was already there. So it could have been from another car, but it wasn't him. This upset me and him, for him to be scammed and accused of. But we made the decision to disinvite her and the family members who sided with her. This of course caused further drama, because she never apologized to him for accusing him and saying he's not a good driver. And she had already helped contribute to the wedding. I'm offering to give back, or pay for the stuff she contributed, but that doesn't mean I'm open to her coming. They aren't that close, as he is always busy with work and doesn't get to visit a lot. But am I the a-hole for disinviting sibling, family members for a false accusation? Edit. This is one of my older half-sisters, same mom, so we didn't grow up together, which is why we aren't that close. When I moved out from my father's and into my now fiance's apartment, I started visiting my mom more. She currently lives with her boyfriend, my grandma, and my older half-sister and 2 younger sisters. It's not about being petty or regretting it, because I don't have any regrets, which is why I'm firm on my decision. I'm upset, and would have reconsidered my choice to disinvite her, had she not started this and lied about her car being scratched by my fiancé to get money. She brought this up to the family saying he did it, and had no doubts or hesitation, saying since he was the car behind her. And also, I wouldn't want to be associated with people who lie and don't own up to it. I could understand if she said, "I think you scratched my car," but she outright stated it was him. I've got calls from family asking why my fiancé hit her and etc., which I don't have the time to listen to when I'm busy working. And she could have brought it up with him first, instead of going through our mom using and involving my mother, who wasn't even involved with this, making it more bigger than it needs to be. Not the a-hole. Actions have consequences, and it's reasonable to not want someone at your wedding who made false allegations against the groom. However, I would also spend all the months between now and the wedding next summer reimbursing her for contributions. Since she's no longer invited, she deserves to be paid back in full. Not the a-hole for a few reasons. 1. Trying to scam you or not, she chose to take up this topic in front of other family members, to the point there was side choosing, instead of taking your husband to the side to have a private convo about it. 2. She never even apologized for being in the wrong. Don't care if you helped pay for the wedding. She should have swallowed her ego and apologized the moment evidence was brought forward to prove she was wrong. 3. You don't need people like that at your wedding if they are such drama bombs at times. Honestly, people forgetting common decency when proven wrong? Enjoy your wedding. Your sister played a stupid game and won a stupid prize. Not the a-hole. Is she still going to insist that your fiancé scratched the car, despite seeing incontrovertible proof that it wasn't him? Then disinvite her. She's dishonest and trying to get an innocent party to pay for the damage to her car. You might want to send this footage to your other relatives who are siding with her. Perhaps they'll change their minds when they see the proof. Haha. My daughter, Casey, 18, has been dating Jack, 20, for a year. He was held back twice in his school career, which allowed him and Casey to meet at school last year. Jack is seriously immature, has a history of delinquency, and displays behaviors that I believe are emotionally aggressive. He often makes Casey responsible for his happiness, and if she doesn't meet his demands, he throws a temper tantrum. I've kicked him out of my home twice because of incidents like this. He is no longer welcome. I tried to be supportive while pointing out subtle red flags I wanted Casey to be aware of. I knew if I said I didn't like him or wanted their relationship to end, it would only drive her further into his arms. Over the past summer, they spent a lot of time together, and talks of marriage began. That's when I put on the brakes and told her that I expected her to get a good education, that I would fully pay for, before she gets married. I told her that I wanted her to have a means to get a good job and a sense of independence before she ties the knot. I also don't want her to get trapped into a bad relationship because she has no real means of supporting herself. I explained that I'd been more than willing to contribute to her wedding once she became a university graduate. I also hoped that giving her some time to grow, learn, and mature would eventually open her eyes to what a bum Jack is. Casey told me that she no longer wanted to go to college. Just before the summer she was excited to apply to universities, and she would rather live with Jack while he learns from his cousin how to do tattoo art. We had an argument. Casey wants to assert her independence as a new adult, and I want her to have a fruitful and financially secure future. Unbeknownst to me, they've been secretly making wedding plans. They realized that a normal wedding venue was far outside their budget, so they opted to rent out a local kids' karate dojo under the guise of a birthday party, and have the wedding reception there. Casey dropped the bomb on me and her dad today. The venue is officially booked for a month from now. I was stunned. When my husband asked what they'd be doing for music, catering, seating, wardrobe, and decorations, Casey said she was still working it out. I told her I would not be attending. Not because I didn't love her and support her, but because I couldn't bear to watch my only child marry a ne'er-do-well that treats her poorly at a half-baked ceremony, all whilst throwing her future away so she could follow around an aspiring tattoo artist with no real ambition of her own. I told her that college will always still be on the table for her, but I would not financially support her if she decides to move in with Jack. I desperately need some unbiased opinions, because I feel this situation could seriously damage our relationship and her future. Am I the a-hole for not attending her makeshift wedding and supporting her choice of partner? Not the a-hole, but you could be making a huge mistake. You would be burning the bridge between you and your daughter. Once she will realize her mistake, she won't be able to turn to you for help, because you shunned her. Make no mistakes, she will need you eventually to get out of this relationship. If you burn that bridge, she might never be able to get out. Edit. Just to be clear, you don't have to ever show even a little bit of support for the relationship. You can 100% make clear you don't agree. You just need to make sure she understands that you support her. Not the a-hole at all, but also super not the way to get what you want. You fully have to go in the opposite direction. Clap your hands with glee, ask if you can help plan the wedding, coo over wedding dresses with her, invite them to dinner every night of the week. Let her douche canoe of a fiancé show his true colors. She will slowly become embarrassed. He will be rude to you, or emotionally aggressive a little. And the little looks of hurt in your face will slowly chip away at the excitement of changing a bad boy. Not the a-hole, but if you don't go, you are at risk of isolating her and have an even less chance of her coming to you if she needs help. Sometimes we just have to hold our tongue and let them learn by their mistakes. Update. I've been reading many of your comments and I've decided to attend the wedding. As much as I begrudge this hasty union, I'm going to keep my opinions to myself until such time that Casey can see that Jack can neither provide for her with stability nor a healthy relationship. As many of you have pointed out, I value a strong bond with my daughter, and it would be wise to put myself in a position where Casey feels comfortable coming to me if something goes wrong, or if she wants to come home. Haha. I always had a bad relationship with my parents. They were never good at nurturing. They were disinterested in us unless they could get something through us. I'm getting married in May to the love of my life. When we started planning for the wedding, my parents made it clear that they didn't have the money nor the intention to pay for the wedding in any way. My fiancé and his parents are paying for about 80% of it, which is the religious ceremony, the venue, with table decorations and all, the food and the music, and I'm putting the last 20%, which is going to be transportation with buses from the nearest big city to the venue, the photographer, the party favors, and my wedding dress, shoes, hair, makeup. I don't have a lot of money either. I just got back to work after a year of being unemployed because of virus. I don't have any money to waste. I'm too proud to go to my in-laws for help as they already pay for more than their share of the wedding. They shouldn't shoulder my part as well. Fortunately, I found a great charity that helps brides like me that can't put thousands of dollars into one dress. They rent wedding dresses that are donated to them for very cheap. I will only have to pay for the adjustments. A friend of mine agreed to do my hair and makeup as a wedding present. That saves me a lot of money, and it's a huge relief for me. On Friday, my sister called me to tell me that my parents have bought clothes for my wedding, and that they've been bragging and showing it off to her. She told me it's really expensive over-the-top clothes, with shoes and jewelry to go with it, and that they said that overall it had cost them close to $2,000. That made me angry, because they really didn't need to spend that much money on it, and if they had that money to spare, I could have used it for the wedding. And maybe I'm vain, but it bothers me that my parents are going to be better dressed than me on my wedding day. On a deeper level, since they obviously do have the extra money, it hurts me that they didn't want to help with the wedding. I feel rejected and neglected, like I've always been with them. I decided that I don't want to put up with that anymore. I want them to participate financially to the wedding, even if it's just a small amount. My budget for party favors is $300, and I want them to pay for that. And if they say they can't, then I don't want them to come to my wedding. They were never really family anyway. My family are my siblings and my friends, and my soon-to-be husband. I would like to have them there, but under my terms, not theirs. I don't need them, and it might be petty, but if they refuse to pay, I will feel vindicated because they will have wasted all this money on outfits they aren't going to wear, because they won't have the occasion. So, would I be the a-hole? You're the a-hole. It's your right to not invite your parents or anyone to your wedding. It's not your right to demand your parents or anyone to financially contribute to a wedding that you've chosen to have. Figure out whether you want your parents there at all, but leave the paying for your wedding out of it. You're the a-hole. It truly doesn't matter what the details are. Your parents don't automatically owe it to you to pay for your wedding because they bought new outfits to wear. If you can't afford the wedding you want, without assuming everyone in your family owes you. Then you downsize or wait and save, like the vast majority of people. Grow up already, and stop acting like the wedding is a debt owed to you. You're the a-hole. If the only reason you want your parents there is if they were able to pay for your wedding, clearly they didn't raise you with great values.